Star Wars is at a crossroads right now. The sequel trilogy did so much damage to the trust of fans through rush plotting, inconsistent characters, and a lack of coherent vision across 3 films. Despite that, the franchise has also delivered some of its best content in decades, with Rogue One's gritty war story to Andor's political spy thriller that is just masterfully crafted. These projects just prove it that Star Wars thrives the most when creators understand the universe and its lore. With new Star Wars movies and shows on the horizon and a major shakeup that's about to go down behind the scenes at Disney, the next few years are going to be a make or break moment for the Star Wars franchise. Will it rise to the occasion and cement itself at the top, or will it keep dwindling down into nothingness? That's the big question, and today we're going to find out if Star Wars is about to rise like the Jedi or fall like the Empire. The sequel trilogy's problems run really deep, and it's not just bad storytelling. I mean, it is bad storytelling, but the films actively broke established canon and disrespected all of the world building that they spent decades perfecting and building upon. The Last Jedi is probably the lowest point in Star Wars history, a film that truly misunderstood Luke Skywalker as a character, that it really was just straight up character assassination. Rian Johnson disregarded all of the elements of mystery in The Force Awakens and didn't give us any resolutions to those storylines. I mean, the way he portrayed Luke Skywalker in this film was just so disappointingly bad that I can't even fathom to think about it nowadays. I mean, just writing the script itself like has me thinking, what the heck what went wrong? Ryan, what do you know? Like what bro? I kept that take in the video because like I said, I'm genuinely disappointed with how that movie turned out. And that's not even mentioning the hyperspace ramming, which is once again another lore breaking aspect that is just inexcusable. Like, it probably could have made sense if they explained it better, but in its current form, it is massively lore breaking, and I decanonize it. Now, I know some people didn't like the humor of these sequels. I didn't really mind it. Like, a lot of people thought it was like, oh, it's their attempt at trying to do MCU type humor that for some people didn't work, but for me, I just didn't really care. I think the reality is this: if your sequel makes fans question whether or not they even like Star Wars anymore, then you have completely lost the plot. Now, there's some people that look at the hate that the sequels get and they're like, the sequel hate is just so forced. And if you remember back when the prequels released, there was also a massive hate brigade with the prequels, but honestly, they're just not even the same. The sequel hate is nowhere near as bad as the prequel hate, and it's just not even close. Now, I'm not going to discount that the prequels do have flaws, but they're nowhere nearly as bad as the sequels. And it really only comes down to one entity, or rather just a few entities, and it really starts off with Disney. Right now, if you consider yourself a fan of Star Wars, you absolutely hate Star Wars. Outside of Andor and a few other projects, the franchise really has become a source of frustration rather than the joy that it should give us. I'm in such a weird position right now. I absolutely love Star Wars, the universe, the lore, the books, the animated shows, the original trilogy, the prequel trilogy, and a few other pieces of content, but outside of that, I despise most of everything else coming out. And it's not just like normal franchise fatigue. Heck, if they could just give me another season of Clone Wars every single year, I would eat that up. I don't resent the entire franchise, I resent what it's become. Star Wars was the chosen one, and they have completely abandoned everything that it means to be Star Wars. The biggest problems plaguing Star Wars right now are canon inconsistencies and like the predictability of Disney's approach. I'm not going to try to harp on the sequels much more, but they introduce so many rules that contradict everything we know. For instance, the hyperspace situation, force powers that are scaling, characters that just immediately become OP. The decades of world building just kind of got tossed aside to hit those clicks on Disney Plus. And speaking of Disney Plus, like, their formula is so terrible for me. Like, I just do not like the Disney Plus show format. And that's not even me talking about like the writing or anything like that. It's really just comes down to how it's shown to us. The fact that we can have 8 episodes in a season, we get weekly 30-minute episodes, and then only like 20 of those minutes have substance in them, and everything else is just kind of a tease to keep you watching for as long as possible. The best way I can describe it is, rather than creating Star Wars content, they were manufacturing Star Wars content. Now, it's not every Disney Plus show, obviously, like Andor is there, and even Ahsoka I enjoy, but The Acolyte, like, that was clearly corporate machinery. It was clearly done to meet quotas and to try to milk the franchise as much as possible. Also, when the writing is painfully obvious and the universe also doesn't follow its own established rules, you've not only lost the surprise, but you've also lost the plot. But unfortunately, the rot lies at the top of the food chain, and that is Disney. The reality is, the Disney acquisition shoulders most of the blame for treating Star Wars like any other IP acquisition, instead of the cultural cultural phenomenon it really is. Now, there have been reports that suggest that Kathleen Kennedy is on her way out. The damage runs so deep that I don't even know where they go from here. Like, I'm being serious. I don't even know what they could do to improve things. The sequel trilogy left the galaxy in a pretty dead spot. The Resistance won, the First Order fell, Rey has all of the power, and the Skywalker saga concluded. So the question is do they continue the series and like expand upon maybe Rey's storyline, or do they decide to abandon that and just, you know, go back to the past? Both options are kind of bad. It's a double-bladed lightsaber essentially. As much as the sequel trilogy did fail, at the end of the day it was a financial success. But it feels like if we continue to go on in the future and we get another sequel trilogy after The Rise of Skywalker, almost every single decision that's made is probably going to feel like an apology tour rather than having coherent and bold storytelling. Which honestly, if they decanonize things and fix things, then I wouldn't complain. Like, imagine just Luke was having a dream. He wakes up from the dream and it's like, what's up everybody? I'm here, I'm back. They cast Sebastian Stan as Luke Skywalker, and then the story just continues on being peak. Now, I will say the streaming push under former Disney CEO Bob Chapek really made things like disastrous for the entire company. We even saw those effects with the MCU as well. It also affected Star Wars, but his mandate to flood Disney Plus with Star Wars content resulted in a parade of mediocre shows. Really hurt the brand further. There was outliers like The Mandalorian, and I'll even throw Ahsoka in there as well. But then things started to go a bit bad with Boba Fett, even though it had its good moments, and the same thing could be said about Obi-Wan's show. And then there was the Acolyte situation, which, you know, what a disaster. The other offerings really range from disappointing to actively harmful to their characters. But with Bob Iger back at the helm, there has been a noticeable shift to fewer and higher quality projects. The focus is going to be to return to theatrical releases rather than churning out Disney Plus slop for content's sake. This course correction is exactly what Star Wars needs. It's what the MCU needs. Fewer projects with bigger budgets and more creative oversight. It's so weird that a movie production company just kind of stopped making movies for a bit, but I'm glad that they're back to making movies. So what does the future of Star Wars hold? Where are things headed? The current Star Wars slate of projects shows a mixed approach that both reflects old habits, likely projects that were already in production that they're not going to cancel, but it also shows new priorities. We're getting Star Wars Visions Season 3 in October of 2025, and following that will be Jon Favreau's The Mandalorian and Grogu movie in May of 2026, which that is a clear attempt to capitalize on the franchise's few recent Disney Plus successes, test it on the big screen, see if it works. There's also going to be the Maul Shadow Lord series, which that will be releasing in 2026. And then we have Ryan Gosling's led Star Wars Starfighter that is directed by Sean Levy, which that's set to hit theaters in May of 2027. We also have Ahsoka Season 2 that remains in development. Alongside movies that may or may not happen, we have the Taika Waititi project, the James Mangold project, the Dave Filoni movie. We have the new Jedi Order movie that is with Rey. There is the Simon Kinberg, I believe that's a trilogy. And then there's other projects like Rogue Squadron that's currently in limbo. And then nobody knows if we're getting more Mandalorian seasons or Boba Fett content. I will say that all of the in development projects really tells me that Disney still doesn't know what Star Wars should be moving forward. But here is the reality. Many of these projects will probably end up getting canceled. Disney's newfound focus on quality over quantity means they're likely cutting a lot of the content from the bloated development slate. The new Jedi Order movie feels like it's in a really weird position given how poorly the sequel trilogy resonated with fans. Like, why double down on Daisy Ridley, even though I do like her? But the reality is fans actively reject that era. And then we have Simon Kinberg's trilogy also seems pretty sus. Like, do we really want a trilogy when the last one kind of almost killed the franchise? Simon Kinberg did Dark Phoenix, which that doesn't really inspire confidence. So yeah, I think the current slate of Star Wars projects are kind of going to be a hit or a miss. Some of them might be successful, others might get canceled or just release and just be terrible. But there is a new hope. There has been signs of a Star Wars comeback that have started to emerge from the terrible wreckage. Kathleen Kennedy's departure after years of pretty bad projects and fan backlash could finally shift the creative direction away from the Disney corpo meddling. Dave Filoni taking on a bigger role means that someone who actually understands Star Wars lore would be at the helm, which honestly I think it should be him at the very least, along with somebody else. It's more of the corpo person, similar to the structure that DC currently has, with James Gunn being the creative guy and then Peter Safran kind of being the corpo guy. Dave Filoni's work on Clone Wars, Rebels, and Ahsoka really shows that he understands and respects the universe's mythology, and honestly, I trust him. On top of that, there's Tony Gilroy, and his success with Andor proved that grounded and mature storytelling works in this universe, and it should be respected and continued. And we also have Jon Favreau that laid the foundation with the Mandalorian's early seasons, showing that you could build new stories while respecting what came before. If I'm Disney, I am getting Filoni, I'm getting Gilroy, and I'm getting Jon Favreau to guide the franchise and give us the Star Wars renaissance we've all been waiting so long for. In my opinion, if they don't decanonize the sequels, which seems unlikely at this point, then the only way forward has to be with somebody at the top giving a clear and unified direction. The franchise needs to potentially move away from the Skywalker saga entirely into something completely new and unique. It has to be somebody like Filoni or Gilroy leading the charge. These are creators who understand Star Wars and they know what works and doesn't work. So whether that's going to the Old Republic era or going to untold corners of the galaxy or new time periods, perhaps even like a new universe refresh, but that would require giving creative control to people who care about Star Wars rather than quarterly earnings. I also think we need more stories from the prequel perspective, like the Clone Wars animated series really proved that there is incredible material waiting to be explored in that era. Like, give us more content with Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen. Like, their chemistry is incredible. Seeing them perform together again was a moment that I really cherish and respect, and that's one of the reasons why I like the Obi-Wan series. I mean, the truth of the situation is this: I love Star Wars more than a lot of things in pop culture, and I hate the fact that I'm not a fan right now. Watching something that I cherished as a kid and really grew up with, seeing what it's become is truly disappointing. Star Wars shaped my imagination, it introduced me to epic storytelling, and it created a universe that I wanted to live in. The fact of bad decisions from Disney previously has made me dread new announcements instead of celebrating them. It's kind of heartbreaking, honestly. Like, this franchise was my childhood. It was a rite of passage to watch Star Wars for the first time with my parents. I remember it like it was yesterday. Like, seeing Luke Skywalker realize that his dad was Darth Vader was truly unforgettable. Seeing Phantom Menace with my entire family is also a memory that I cherish, and I just want that back. So Disney needs to do everything in their power to revive this franchise. They need unlimited power, not just for profit margins or streaming numbers, because many fans like myself are waiting to fall in love with Star Wars again. Andor Season 2 might be the start of the renaissance, but for now, we will just have to wait and see. May the Force be with you.